Hey, listen, you listening to Showtime with Coop. Insightful BS by some of my Laker teammates and NBA friends. And today we got Ryan Hollins in the house. And I am so glad we had to wake his ass up to get him on, but we got him on. And that's the fun part about it. Welcome, Ryan. How are you, sir?
Hey man, I'm good, Coop. I'm blessed, man. You brought me on, Coop. I thought I was, I might have been a couple phone calls away from Kareem and B. Scott and Magic and then Isaiah and all them boys. But hey, listen, man, I'm blessed to be a part of it, man. And Coop, you one of the good guys in the business. I appreciate you for reaching out to the young fellas in a way that you give back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And the family's doing good. I know COVID has been wild, but it's lightening up a little bit.
We hanging in, man. I think the kids are adjusting to the online school and everything. But it's tough because for us, we're already young. I don't mind chilling at home, but it's robbing the kids of a little bit of their youth. But hey, man, what don't hurt you, make you stronger. And hopefully they develop a stronger appreciation for going to school and family and, all the little things.
For sure. God is good, man. Right off, Ryan, we're going to get right into it. And I got a bone to pick with you. Because you went to Mirror High School in Pasadena. I went to the
Mirror High School. Call us the Mirror High School. Put champion when you say Mirror, put champion in that sentence, man.
I'm not going to say that because I went to the Bulldogs, PHS Bulldogs, and we were champions in 1974. So I'm not going to say that. I said champions because we got this thing going on. So my first question to you, Ryan, is why? Why the hell you picked Mirror?
Keeping it funky with you, my dad was a track legend over at PHS. Ryan Hollins, high jump, triple, all the hurdles. And honestly, Coop, I live in PHS's district, but I could walk to Mirror. And
you know what? That was what it was for me. We lived in Mirror district.
Really?
But we were with the PHS. So I feel for you, brother, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, my mom, I'm not going to say my mom is lazy, but my mom picks her moments. And once I told her, I said, hey, I'd rather walk to Mirror, And she was like, oh, she went down, got the permit, got all that. And, I was able to walk to school. I wasn't at an Oak Hill or, Westchester with all the big name guys. You know how it is, Coop. So we just made it happen at Mirror High School. We came up short in the playoffs. You never even forget those high school championships, let alone college or games. But it was an experience I'll never forget, but it shaped me into who I am. And Coop, man, my parents didn't bring me to the Michael Cooper camp. We don't know about that. I just had to listen. I was so salty. Like, my boys would come back like, how's that Coop camp? Man, defense, and Mike came out there. And I'm like, man, whatever. And people don't know that. Coop was giving back, man. And to this day, people speak about your camp. And it speaks volumes, man, for what you've done in the community.
King D, baby, that's all we did over at PHS. That's why we won championships over there. Coach Turgeon, Danny Davis, Tim Tucker. But you know what? I'm not going to knock Mirror from the academic standards because, again, I know that those were held high even over at Mirror as well as Blair and some of the other schools. But for basketball, that was just a bad choice. But you know what, Ryan? It doesn't matter where we go to school. It's where we finish up. You finish your high school, you graduate from Mirror, and you wind up going to UCLA. Well, had an opportunity to go to St. Louis, right? You were going to St. Louis, you pulled back from there. How did you end up at UCLA?
It's crazy, man. Through the recruiting process, the first coach that reached out to me, I was playing at Fairfax High School, and I had just got to varsity. I was the high school, the playoff call-up. I was that. And we were in summer league, and Coop, I swear to God, Coop, I ran up the court one time, and I ran back down, and coach pulled me out. and after the game, my coach came over and said, oh, man, I've done great. He said, man, I'll be damned. The only one they asked about is you, Ryan Hollins. And I'm sitting on the end of the bench like, who? We had all these dogs, Joe Frazier, Brandon Willis, those were the guys back then. And Coach Lorenzo Romar and Randy Bennett, it's like a running joke, who saw Ryan Hollins first. And the guy who could get me to go out and commit to St. Louis was Lorenzo Romar. For those who know Lorenzo in the business, one of the greatest individuals we have in college basketball. He Coach, Coach Romar came on a recruiting visit, unofficial, to see me, and I could walk home. It's me and it's him. I had a recruiting visit. He came to the gym to watch me do my thing. Coop, he wouldn't give me a ride home. This man drove his car alongside of me because it was an NCAA violation.
Exactly.
If he had given me a ride home in improper benefit, and it's me and him, and he wouldn't do it. And it was the craziest thing. And then Coop, he like you, Coop. He said, hey, Ryan, I'm gonna run to the store. You mean to grab you something? You know, back in the day, I'm like, man, grab me an orange juice. Man, that's I'm solid. Grab me an orange juice. Dog, he came back talking about that's $1.63. Couldn't last shit. Made me pay for that gosh orange juice. So Lorenzo Romar were the great guys, and even when I went through tough times, and still, if I go through a tough time, I know I can call Low up. So, guys, Lorenzo Romar is the reason I went to St. Louis. I was supposed to go to Washington, but there's that little school in blue and gold with Lou Alcindor and Reggie Miller and Baron Davis, and we could go down the list. He knew that was the only school they got in the picture that had an opportunity to get me. So I ended up decommitting from St. Louis. I was supposed to go to Washington, and it was the hardest decision of my life. I had to grow up really quick because I had to go. It was the choice, fellas. The girl who was with you from day one, the high school sweetheart, or the one with the fast car and the nice hair and all that and the good looks. And I went with the good looks. But Coach understood because he had that UCLA experience himself.
And he loves it. Coach Romar is a great guy, man. I was wondering, what did he say to you to even get you to sign a letter of intent at St. Louis? I mean, but Romar's that kind of guy. He keeps it real. He don't play by the rules. Cool. He doesn't play out of bounds or anything like that. I mean, I love Coach Romar. Love kicking his butt. When he got into the pros, we used to play up at the playgrounds at some of the parks around LA. But before we forget this, and I'm not gonna forget this, Ryan, your dad, like you said, was a great high jumper. You followed in that groundwork behind him. At that time in college, you were what, 6'9", 6'10" at that time too?
You know, it's crazy. I came into college 6'11", and I grew like an inch and a half, and hit a true 7 feet in college. So I grew a whole nother inch. I was young. I came to college at 17. I was a young buck, man. So
how you get it? You went into high jumping in college too?
I did. So check this, Coop.
You say like it's embarrassment. That's damn good.
After basketball season, your senior year, there's nothing else to do. And my homeboy went to the other school, the little puppy dogs with the red and white and all that, and PHS. And my boy,
say it on the air, USC, because I went there. Yeah, let's go. Fight on, baby.
And my boy, no, I'm going back to high school. My boy, he said, I'm high jumping 5'6". I bet you can't do that. And he kept telling me I couldn't do it. I ain't had nothing to do, and I hit up the track coach. Now, keep in mind, Mir was world renowned in track, high school.
Yes, they were.
And, after seeing you have nothing to do, so I was like, I'll go out and do that little high jump. I'll smash on you. Whatever, right? So I go out, and, Coop, it was the funnest sports experience I've ever had doing track and field because I could do nothing wrong. Everything I did was the icing on the cake. And slowly but surely, I got better and better every time. And the irony is, I lost in CIF in high jump, which was my event. And I ended up going to state in the triple jump. I went to the state. I took third in the state in triple jump. And then when I got to UCLA, I high jumped because I was like, all right, why not? It's after basketball season, nothing going on. It's fun. And it's crazy, Coop. I only did it that 1 year, and then, Ben Allen came in, he put it into that. And when I went into the draft, they were like, yeah, he's a high jumper, though. Like, dog, I high jumped because it was there. Like, it was nothing else to do.
Ryan, in 1974, I did the same thing. I was high jumping, and I was a little skinny guy back then. And back then, okay, let me ask you this first.
I heard cool.
You do the Fosbury flop or Western roll?
Fosbury flop. Backwards.
Okay.
I would do the flop. My dad used to roll.
I was a roller. So I did the Western roll, and I did in 1974, I was like third on our team, and I didn't even know anything about high jumping. So I was just jumping. I went out there and jumped. Ryan, I did 6'3", man, 6'4" on a Western roll, which is hard to do.
That's hard.
You got to get your whole body over that. But what was your triple jump length, and then what was your best high jump height?
I went 48.2 in the state to win. But
Triple
when
jump.
I started in triple jump, 48.2, but when I started, Coop, I was jumping like 20, 25 feet in the triple jump, 30 feet, but I got better and better every time because, dude, I didn't want to land in the pit and get dirty, so I used to land with 2 feet in the pit. I used to walk out the pit. And I would win, and I would walk.
You jump on cement instead of sand?
I ain't want, Coop, I'm too cool, I'm out there with the ladies, I'm too cool. And then my high jump, I got the 6'6", and I don't know if y'all got time, but I went to Arcadia Invitational that meet, and I was improving every time. And my coach wrote down, he had belief in me. He said, "I'm gonna write 6'6" on this paper that you did 6'6", and I was like, "Coach, I'm only doing 6 feet, dog." And when I got to the meet, I've never been to a big time invitational meet. I don't know what's going on. So I guess you're supposed to tell the marksman where you're going to come in or where you're going to start at. And I've only jumped 6 feet at the time. And I see the bar going higher and higher. Then I walk over to the lineman, the little ref, and I'm like, yo, he sees I'm 7 feet. I fit the bill. I'm at the thing. And I'm like, hey, when am I going to come in? So he has me come in at 6'6", which I've never done in my life. And the whole crowd is there. It's a nighttime event. It was big time. And I remember going, had all this adrenaline. I got goosebumps right now thinking about it. And I went and I jumped. In the first attempt, boom, I clipped it. But when I missed, the crowd said, ooh. Ari, when you attract me, when you see something like, oh, what the? Ooh. And I went again. And my dad said I was clearing the bar by 6 inches, but I had a form. Coop, a lot of it is you have to trust, and you have to tilt your head back, and you're looking in the sky, and everything in your head says, I'm about to fall on my head. And then you tilt back forward and you tuck. So I end up on my last jump, I get it. I go for 6'8", and I clip 6'8", and my coach was going berserk. My coach was absolutely losing it, but it was cool being able to advance. And in college, I finally did 7 feet, and then I had a 40. I did 42.8 or 43.8 in the triple jump. And I'm gonna call out Ben Howland for this right now, man. He had an ego trip, and he made me do a basketball workout in the middle of the track season, and I never jumped the same. I never jumped the same after. Crazy.
Wow. You know what, Ryan? You said you got goosebumps. I got goosebumps, and I don't get goosebumps for a Mustang. I only get goosebumps for a Bulldog. So you know what? You'll never be able to get away from that rivalry that we got going. But so you finish that up. You go on to UCLA, have a great college career as a student athlete. What was your greatest achievement at UCLA on or off the court?
Man, obviously getting my degree, the first one in my immediate family. And, it's funny, I came about like a credit away because I had, for people who don't know, the way my classes went, I needed that very last class and semester to graduate in that fourth year because I missed some summer school to play US State basketball and stuff like that. And I never forget, man, I had a teacher, long story short, he was just screwing with me, man. I needed a certain grade to pass, and the dude just kept me doing my paper over again to the point where the tutor was looking at your paper like, dog, this is an A paper, fam. And I swear I went to him, I said, hey, man, I just wrote him an email. I said, look, man, I'm going to be the first one in my family, the immediate family to graduate. I don't know what you on right now, but I'm going to tell you right now, you going to, I don't even know if I should have, I didn't even know no better. And I wrote this in the email. I said, you're going to make sure I walk across that stage or else, fam. But he knew he was screwing with me. I ended up, he gave me just enough of a grade to pass. So he held par. He didn't give me an A or B. He gave me enough to pass. He made me do that paper over like 9 or 10 times, but I passed. And I would say on the basketball court, our victory against Gonzaga because, Coop, I don't know if you've ever had any games like this, maybe in your Laker days, or maybe there's son in college, but I had the opportunity. I felt like that game defined my life. We were down 17. were against the wall. And I just really I didn't have any quit in me. And our guys just quit. And we stuck to the game plan. And we never frayed off. And even when we were coming back, that game, wasn't easy. I think the other day or yesterday or whatever was the anniversary of the game. It's kind of crazy they bring it up. But being a part of that history and just the mindset. And I remember just the shock of the crowd and walking around afterwards. It was like, Coop, it was the craziest feeling I've ever had in my life. It was just a bunch of alphas running around the gym. We were the other game didn't even want to start. We were pacing around the gym. Just mugging the crowd, going crazy. And it's one of the wildest experiences I ever had in my life. And one of the things they don't always give me credit for, I actually got a Dove commercial for it. They gave me like $100. They think I was still an NCAA athlete, Coop, and they ran it 5 billion times. They said, I went to go to make sure I told Adam Morrison, and people get on Adam for crying. And I said, listen, Adam, that very easily could have been me on the other side. You got nothing to hang your hat on. You're going to have a long NBA career. Unfortunately, he didn't end up getting injured. But I gave him nothing but love and respect because, the way the ball bounces, this, Coop and Ari, that's a win or loss game in a championship or competitive type game. The margin of victory is so slim, guys. And Coop knows that even more than me with the successes that he's had.
Wow, what a story.
It is crazy. And we see that so much now with the NCAA tournament. It's the margins are so slim, and yet the further away you get, the wider it becomes. And it's like, it's just a thing here or there.
A made free throw, a missed box out. Yeah.
A missed call, a made call. I mean, it's just crazy. So take me through, because that year you guys losing the title game to Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take me through that, the elation of those games, the Gonzaga win, Adam Morrison, and then, getting to the Final Four, and just take me through that whole experience.
Guys, I gave my mind, body, and soul to the game of basketball. And I think the first time I ever did that. And it was weird. I pulled my groin in warmups, and Coop, you know how embarrassing that is. And I had to sit out my senior year a couple games and watch. For real.
Scared.
Imagine I got to go to coach. And I'm like, Coach, I can't play. He like, well, what the heck are you? He like, for one, what the heck are you doing in here? There's 20 on the clock. And for two, what happened? And I said, I pulled my groin. He said, you're screwing around. Oh, he gave me the blues for it. But I got to sit back and reflect and watch. And when I came back to the game of basketball, I gave my mind, body, like I said, my mind, body, and soul to the game. And I cherished it. Every rebound, every box out, every minute I got. If it was 5 minutes, Coach got the best 5 minutes he could ever get out of me. And that ended up taking me all the way to the championship game where we lost to Florida. And when we played Florida, they were free. If you were a robot, we could box you up. Cool. We gonna W. We got the game plan. They were free. They just played basketball. They moved it. They ran. They had 6 or 7 pros on the team. They shot the hell out of the ball. If you couldn't shoot, we were gonna run all over you because we just gonna lead it. The non-shooter. And Noah Horford and those guys. You see the successes that they had in college and in the league. But that one stung. That one stung because Coop. I don't know about your school, but my school don't recognize second places in the championship. Hey, Ari, there is no memory of 2006. They just go 3 straight Final Fours, but like, dog, we made the final game. There is no like shrine or we don't even have a little pendant in Poly. The little hey Coop, the league championship banners being dog. We ain't got none of that. We won league. We have the most wins in UCLA history. 2006. Look it up. We got the most because the Jabbar and those guys, they didn't play as many games. The people don't know that.
Crazy.
We have Ryan Hollins on the show who's taking low blows to Coop about my alma mater. We don't have the championships. Of course, he went to one of the greatest college programs you could ever go to with multiple championships.
They're hanging banners at New Mexico. They're hanging banners at the pit in New Mexico if you guys make it to the final game.
Well, I'll say this: our arena is better than yours. It's called the Pit. That's a really cool name, the Pit, and it looked like that. But you listen to Ryan Hollins here. He's telling us about some things. Showtime with Coop, insightful BS, and he's sharing his BS with us today. So, Ryan, we're at the point now of the show where I have Coop's lightning round. I'm gonna give you 5 names, and you tell me a little bit about those people. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Man, cool.
This is a verbal program. You have to say yes.
I'm in. My man, cool. I'm in. Cool. Yes, sir. Coop is old school, baby. Coop is old school. Coop, I could have played for you, dog. You'd have loved me. I'd have dove on the floors and locked up.
We're going to test your UCLA history. Lorenzo Romar, you've already talked about it. Tell us a little bit more.
He was an assistant coach at UCLA. He's now the head coach over at Pepperdine. Like I said, one of the funniest jokes about Romar, if you ever played for him, or if you're around him, you know, he don't cuss. So he'll let you have it in practice with that was a despicable performance. Like, you know, he'll lay into you, you know, real smooth. And honestly, one of the greater individuals we have in the game, really underrated for what he did. And if he had got the kid over, because he had a deal at Washington, if he had got the kid, Michael Porter, if he had got Michael Porter, because he had that locked up, Washington would have been a whole different story. I'm still salty about Washington letting him go, but he's sitting on the beach at Pepperdine, baby. I mean, come on, man, who can fault that? And he showed me a clip of him dunking on James Edwards at his time in the league. You know, y'all hold on to the little VHS. Hey, young fella, I can get out now. I'll never forget that.
Kiki Vanderway.
Kiki Vanderway was, I believe, during my time, UCLA great. He was working as the commissioner, so we would have to over like the calls and everything. So that if you had a flagrant attack, you know, Kiki, hey Ryan, what was that dust up with you and Dwight Howard the other, you know, and you'd have to explain to Kiki what went on. But a dynamic power forward in the league. I think he did an excellent job over in Denver, working in their head office, done some broadcast work. So Kiki's one of the good guys we have in the league, and I appreciate his impact on my career.
Henry Bibby.
Coach Bibby. Bibby's a Bruin. Stepped over and was a head coach at UCLA, and people don't know you had to qualify to make the Pac-10 tournament. They only took so many teams. And one year, Ben Hollins' first or second year, we were close to losing, and USC had UCLA's fate in their hands. And one of the classiest things Henry Bibby did, and by the way, I was supposed to be, I tell you, another thing. Henry Bibby called Ben Hollins and said, "We're going to take care of business and make sure you guys get in the tournament." And I'll be forever grateful for him to do that. We didn't make the noise that we should have that year. And Henry Bibby came to my house on a recruiting visit. He came to my house on a recruiting visit, and he looked me square in my face with my father, and he said, "Look, we want you to gray shirt." So gray shirt means you just take a year off. You don't, no schools, no credit. Then we want you to go JUCO. You're going to play a year at JUCO. You're going to go there and develop. And then after you go JUCO, we're going to take you to USC. And when you come to USC, you're going to red shirt. So I'm going to have you, Ryan Hollins, as a 21, 20-year-old freshman. And my dad took, and then, you know, Bibby, he had his whole deal. He'd take out his Polaroid, he'd take pictures with you on a recruiting visit, and he'd do the whole deal. And he'd go, wow. And my dad was all pumped up because he's acting like he's excited to see you, not you excited to see him. And I said, man, I ain't doing that crap. And we played them. I got minutes my freshman year. I gave them boys a double and popped my collar on him. I love him, but I'm a competitor, but I appreciate him. He's one of the greats that we've had in the game. And I remember his time over in Philadelphia, he'd always come over and apologize. Ryan, I messed up.
Boy, the illegality pipeline at UCLA runs deep and long, and I didn't know. Didn't know that. But Henry's a great guy, though. Henry's a great guy,
man. Coach Bibby's the best.
One of the greatest of all time, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or back then, Lou Alcindor.
I never got to see Kareem on campus. That's one of the things that hurt me, because I wanted to ask him a million questions, Coop. I just wanted to see the way he walked and talked and moved. I'm a guy that likes to study history, especially while playing. And with Kareem, the first time I saw him, I was at RTP, rookie transition camp, and he came to speak to us. And I just walked up to him. I said, "Thank you, man." I said, "Thank you for what you did. If you didn't make the sacrifices that you made at that time, I wouldn't have been there. I wouldn't have had the opportunities that I had for the game of basketball at UCLA. I want to be you. You know, I used to work on the sky hook and practice Coop. In my mind, I was shooting the sky. It didn't come out the same. And I was shooting the sky hook, you know, because everyone saw, oh, he's 7 feet. Just shoot the sky. All y'all old school, just shoot the sky hook, you know, fella. That's all you need in your game. Kareem was 7'3" with touch. Kareem could have shot the sky hook from 3-point line, Cooper. You can tell that to me better than I could. But shout out Kareem, and he looked at me and said, "Why, Ryan? I'm nobody. I've done nothing." But Kareem is the best. He is the best, guys. Seriously,
the greatest ever.
I take LeBron. That's the talk for another day. Coop, hold back, chill, Coop. But yeah, if anyone says Kareem,
go ahead.
If anyone says Kareem, I have zero problems because the numbers don't lie. Okay. I have no problems with that and his impact on the game. And if we want to talk college, which, you know, those guys they can't touch his career. When you got rules made, I have no problem with anybody said that Kareem is the great. And if he had played in this era, Kareem could be Giannis. He could be on the wing. He could have shot 3. There's nothing Kareem could not do on the basketball floor. He would have been unguardable. And I think he only gets docked because of the way that the game has changed and the ball wasn't always necessarily in his hands as an impact maker. But he could have been a guy Kareem with his, people forget, they just think he was faster than the guards. We'll never see another Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And there are stories of legends that just circulate through the league on the stuff he would do.
Last but not least, one of the greatest coaches that ever coached this game, but especially at UCLA, Coach John Wooden.
Coop, I don't know if you remember this, and Ari, I used to have long braids. Long hair. I run, long braids, be running, right? And it was like my deal. You know, everybody has their moments. And I remember I cut my braids, and I was coming off of a knee surgery. Knee scope, and I was scared to death for a knee scope, Coop. You know, it could have been said, I was scared to death, man. I ain't never been put to sleep in my life, not even at the dentist, you know? And I remember I was coming back, and it takes you, after surgery, it takes you a couple months. You know, we didn't have the technology the kids had. It takes you a month to a year to kind of get back to just being you. And Coach Wooden used to sit behind our benches at the game. He was so observant. He knew everything. He knew everybody. He'd look at the person that you are, the way you walk, the way you talk, that you move. And, you know, in college, you go through it, man. These kids go through it, and they don't always talk about, we don't express ourselves, especially, I know your generation sure as heck didn't express themselves. Our generation didn't do that either, Coop. And Coach Wooden, he saw me. It was in the Student Rec Center. He was there, and he said, son, I bet you feel like Samson, don't you, without your hair? And I cut my hair. He said, I bet you feel like, and he darn near brought me to tears, man. But even more so, that Coach Wooden paid attention to you, and he knew and he saw. He didn't say nothing like, how's the jump hook? How you getting along with Coach? I think you'd be better at the high post. None of that. He paid attention to me as a man, and he knew how I felt. And I say he almost brought me to tears. But that's the type of man that Coach Wooden was. And another thing that sticks out real quick, at Coach Wooden's funeral, they grabbed the pastor, did such an excellent job speaking. He said, hey, man, if you have something signed by Coach Wooden ever, from a young kid to now, and it's in your house or something, or he took the time to sign it for you, raise your hand. Cool. The whole arena raised their hand and said they had something signed for them. Wow. So you talk about an individual, forget basketball. Coach Wooden is one of the greatest men I've ever known, ever. Seriously. And we miss him dearly. And I love that his impact on the game still spreads. And I hope that it gets into the hearts of these coaches, because it's about these young men, and we don't always see that now.
Do a lot of the former athletes still live by the pyramid of success at UCLA?
I don't think it's taught the right way. You know, we get hit with the quick, go fast, but don't hurry. You know, tie your shoelaces up. You know, Lavin had the whole deal, tie your shoelaces up, no facial hair, all that. I don't think it gets taught, like, why? I'm making you into a young man. So yeah. I think we get it, we hear it, but we don't always understand the impact of it and what it ultimately means. But Coach Wooden, dog, he was that dude. And like I said, nothing to do with basketball. Nothing to do with basketball. And some may say they want to smear UCLA that, oh, we had boosters at the time and we paid for those players and all that. You still got to make it work, dog. You still got to make it work. And he made it work. And, like I said, we don't even talk basketball, but, the successes that those teams have had they're unparalleled.
So listen, Ryan, you finished your career, you drafted second round, 50th overall pick by the Charlotte Bobcats at that time, which are now the Charlotte Hornets. What were your expectations going into the NBA?
I was so turned up at that time. Cool. I was just ready to go. I was working out with Rico Hines, UCLA, great. And he's been able to work out Kevin Durant, going into his championship season. Remember when he hit the dag over LeBron? We're not going to talk about that because I'm a LeBron guy. Montrez, the year he got Sixth Man of the Year, and that so Rico was the mastermind behind a lot of guys, and he just had a battery in my back, man. Cool. I was trying to dunk everything. If I was to step inside the free throw line, I was trying to dunk it. And people don't know, man. When I went to Charlotte, it was my first experience of my life away from home. I went from John Muir straight to UCLA, and Charlotte was just a rich city with tradition. We were really old school at this time. Our coach was Bernie Bickerstaff, so I had Bernie and JB, who's the head coach of the Cavs, on that staff at the time, Coach Outlaw, and just a squad, a good group of people. But it was an old school. Bernie would come, hey son, why didn't you dunk the basketball? Do what you do. Don't take no darn jumpers. He was old school, but it was an amazing experience that really shaped my NBA career at the time. And the people out in Charlotte were just amazing. And people didn't know, man, I used to work so hard. It was literally to the gym and to the hotel room. And that's all I did. And I get there early, stay late, and I would work so hard. Cool. I would, I didn't know nothing about nutrition. I would just run myself into the dirt, into the ground, and then just sleep. I'll be asleep at 5 p.m. I work so hard, and then wake up in the middle of the night, bright and early, and then get up at 5 a.m. To go get in the gym, man. But that experience really shaped me. And cool. I was one of the last people or players that like a rookie meant you were a rookie. Like you got treated like a rookie. I didn't see my jersey until halfway through the season. Swear to God. The first time I saw my jersey, I lit up like a Christmas tree, man. The first time I saw it, because I never saw my jersey there. That's what Bernie was on. He was old school. You had to earn that. And I was so excited already. These young fellas get in and play heavy, and they don't understand what the league is necessarily about. And they fall off a little bit, and they out the league that fast. So I like to just thank Bernie for the way he shaped my life and my career in those moments, and JB and those guys. And that was an amazing experience, man. And it's a big reason, Brevin Knight, Othello Harrington, those guys, why Derek Anderson, why I played, Melvin Eli, why I played 10 years in the association. It wasn't glamorous, cool. I had to go through the mud to get it.
Well, you know what? At least your rookie initiation was better than mine, because you just didn't get a jersey. I got a jersey, but I had to go pick up Kareem's laundry, Adrian Dantley's laundry, Ron Boone's laundry, and I had to take it to them. And then they wanted it specifically delivered at 5 a.m. in the morning. So I had to go get it and hang it on their doorknob outside. So, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's like you say, you had to earn your keep. Ryan, real quick, you play for a lot of teams, and I don't knock anybody's career, because if you in the league, to me, if you play 5 years in the NBA, you're doing something to stay there.
Oh, man.
And I heard my son and his friends talking about this the other day. Oh, I don't want to be a journeyman. I don't want to do this. I want to get, and I'm one of the fortunate ones that got a team, and I was able to stay with that team for my whole 12 years. What would you tell young people about being a journeyman in the NBA?
It's the lay of the law in the business. At some point, if you're not a part of that core franchise or future, you're going to move on. And even if you are a core part, they'll move you anytime for a bigger name. That list of untouchables is very rare. Kobe Bryant was Luol Deng away from being a Chicago Bull. They went budge on Luol Deng. People forget about that story. So you can absolutely be moved. And the reality of the matter is, I probably could have stayed in Charlotte for a couple years, but I never would have got paid. I never would have been appreciated. So when I asked for a trade to go to Dallas, and they sent me to Dallas, and I was so blessed for that. But when I got moved, Dallas was like, oh, we have Dampier and Dirk. We don't have no, I stuck out like a sore thumb. So one man's trash is another man's treasure. And that's how you get paid in the league. So there are moments where you do have to go and move on. In the league now, it's all about movement. And we can thank LeBron James for that. We can talk have a whole other pot on that. But you're going to have to move around. And it's rare that you see a role player like the Nick Collisons of my generation that just stayed with his team for the entire time. But you'll lose out on a lot of money because another team will have a void at your position. And then you're praying they don't draft over you, which they're going to do. Unless you LeBron, they ain't drafting no point centers, point forwards, on those teams. They're drafting shooters around him. Unless you LeBron or KD or some of these guys, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. What do you think of the state of the NBA today, Ryan?
I think the NBA is in a good place. I think we're starting to see a transition, Coop, where the big man gets back into the game, but it's not taboo anymore for a big man to shoot threes. And I understand the mindset because we had greats like Kareem and Shaq and Ewing and Hakeem and those guys. So it's like, get on the block, it's unstoppable. And now we're starting to understand the dribble drive is unstoppable, but we're going to evolve into well-rounded players where you can post, you can shoot, you can drive, you can pass. And that's what the league is going to have to see. We see guys like Joel Embiid, Nikola Jokic, LeBron James is 6'8", however you want to characterize him, Anthony Davis. So the stars in the league, the big man, I believe, is starting to emerge again in Utah, at least, for the time being. We don't want to date this, but, they were the best team in the NBA for a majority of the season. And that's a too big system. That's really unheard of. So the skill set is going to change the NBA.
And you know what? The only reason that makes Gobert legitimate in that offense is because he's a high rebounder. If you can't do anything, and especially as a big guy in today's game, if you can't hit a 17 3-point shot, you're almost useless out there on the floor.
Mm-hmm. And I don't even believe in that. You got to have something in the paint. And you see, teams like the Lakers currently trying to get a shot blocker. Oh, we messed up. Dwight Howard was really good for us, and the Brooklyn Nets, looking to carve out their roster. Now those guys are going to have to compete where, last year Dwight just fell into their lap, during the championship run, and they didn't really know what they had. So, I see the league shaping that, but you have to have a shot blocker, rebounder on your team, an active big to be able to be good. Even JaVale, like, golly, we've been good with JaVale, but you don't appreciate those guys until you don't have them, and you getting pounded on the glass, and you can't stop these guys from getting downhill on you.
Now, Ryan, you know what? I said that at the beginning. When I heard that they were letting JaVale and Dwight Howard go, that was the difference that made the Lakers an average team and a team that's unbeatable. You had AD, JaVale McGee, and Howard that were blocking shots. And you know what? When I heard they were letting them guys go for Gasol and Harold, them guys aren't shot blockers, let alone they're just barely 50% offensive player. Harold a little bit better than Gasol, but that's their problem now, and they're starting to feel that pain.
Completely agree, Coach. Completely agree.
Well, Ari, anything? No, I mean, Ryan, I appreciate you jumping on. We worked together at ESPN briefly for a short period of time when you were getting started this thing. So it's just cool to watch you turn into a media star, man.
Hey, man, people don't know, Cool. This is my teammate, man. We got to cover the NBA Finals, and it was one of our first runs, and we were on radio probably at 4 a.m. in the morning, man. Who knows? But yeah. Me and Ari, you talk about two people happier than to just be doing radio and having an opportunity. We were so excited, man. So, Ari, I always try to check in with you. And Coop, you know how amazing this guy is right here. You got a real gem. And as soon as he hit me, I said, man, you tell me when and where, man. This guy is special, man. I love what you do, Ari. You know that. And I always remember that time we were on the radio, man. We were cool. We were you couldn't tell us we wasn't on at 4 a.m. You couldn't tell us any different, Coop. I swear to God. It was, man, we came out blazing, man.
Ari a night owl, man. The only two issues I have with him is, one, he's affiliated with a guy in Boston that loves the Celtics, so I don't like that part of him. And second, he lives in Dallas because he talks highly of the Mavs or the Spurs, which I don't like about that. But you know what? I love him as a person. He's one of the best. He keeps me on my toes. Ryan, we want to thank you, man, for coming on. Appreciate that. I'm gonna have you on again, man. I like you. I like your spirit and your energy and your
He's the
knowledge of
best.
the game. And you do have a little BS in you.
I appreciate you, Coop. I appreciate you. Know, from Pasadena, I'm a little crazy. You know, we're a little crazy, but anytime, Coop, you know, I don't forget now. So you said it. I'm gonna be expecting to be back on, Coop, and we'll rock out.
Before I let you go, the big three look like we coming back. Ryan was a big time player in there. We're gonna have a whole new system. I heard that it's gonna be a little bit different. But you know what? Hey, I'm gonna keep my eye open for you.
No, you're drafting me or you're picking me up in free agency, Coop. Don't forget that. I'm like, no, like, yo, like this is happening, dog. Like, Coop, I'm on.
Ryan, I'll draft you if you can promise me and guarantee me right now that Three's Company will win a championship.
Guarantee it. We're gonna win the chip. Guarantee it. High IQ,
man.
Good players. We're gonna work. Let's cook, coach. Let's cook. I'm about that life, coach. I'm about that life, coach.
There you have it. Another Showtime with Coop in the Can podcast. Insightful BS with our boy